Hello friends, and welcome back to a new video. So in this video I want to talk about the acoustic process and this particular record that was recorded. This note was not necessarily, but the source of it was recorded with the acoustical process. Now, for those of you that are not aware of the acoustical process, we're talking something like this. A whole bunch of musicians sitting in a room having a horn, and at the end of the horn there's something that picks up all the vibrations that are in the room and transcribes it onto a disc, and then you make a copy of the disc, and from that copy of the disc you can make multiple copies. And so what you have here is a lot of advantages compared to where you would use microphones, because microphones can be placed everywhere, and you have close up and far away, and then you have the mixing, and then you have the microphone amplifier that distorts, you have the microphone itself that distorts, and you have the mixer panel that distorts, and then you have people playing around with EQ and all kinds of settings. And then finally, and it might go to tape and from tape and done again, and then finally you cut maybe some piece of vinyl. This cuts all that BS all out. And it's not the perfect system, but it has a very, I wouldn't call it hi-fi with contemporary standards, but it has qualities of directness and consistency, because there's of course the recording distance is constant, and it's far more natural really, and that you're listening somewhere here, and there's no meddling, there's no, and the distortion of the medium is there, and there's some noise maybe, but generally this is a brilliant way of capturing the music and the playing style of musicians. And in case of this record, this was a record was really done in 2 volumes. In 1961 some geniuses decided to collate these old transcribed records that were made using the acoustic process, and they played them and put them on tape, and then created 2 vinyls. They cut from that tape, they cut 2 vinyls, so you had a volume 1 and a volume 2, and that was done in 1961. Now this particular record was the Australian version of it, and this is really volume 1 from Louis Armstrong, and really from that tape they just cut this vinyl in 1967. But I can hear if there was anything involved with this, it was only tube based. There's definitely no sense of anything else distorting it. The quality is really good. I will post a sound clip of one of the tracks separately, so you can listen to it if you don't have the chance. Yeah, now this record is quite cheap, so if you have an analog setup, I very much recommend it. It's a cheap record, and if you haven't experienced this, I think it's really nice. So if you can deal with the fact that you won't know the songs, or likely are not knowing the songs, it is very nice. You hear Armstrong in his 20s, almost picked up out of the clubs and so on, because he was playing everywhere, doing gigs, and he was with some very good players, and so they put him into the studio and recorded it. And of course the nice way of this way of recording is they had to play everything live on one side of the track for the transcribing process, and you can hear that, you know, so there are things, especially, you know, how does that medium sound? Now this medium sounds like, the characteristic is that it's the distortion or the sound profile is not, it has a limited frequency band, I would say, and also a little bit when the volume goes too low, it drops away a little bit quicker, I have the feeling. However, as you could see in this picture, usually the artists are pretty close and they're really shouting and playing into that cone. And so my sense is that it's very direct, it's very consistent, the timing is perfect because they're all at the same distance, it's all recorded at the same time live. So that is very good. But also things like trumpet and saxophone, I think with microphones, something that maybe because it's a plastic membrane or whatever it is, this captures it better than that membrane somehow. It seems livelier. yeah, it captures it really well, and even the piano with the background, sort of the sound of the wood and so on, and that transcribes really well the coloration that comes from it. With generally with microphones where you sort of have this close up when they stick the microphone really sort of in here, really close. It seems to be a sound of the piano that you would normally, if somebody's playing, it's not where you have your head. And yet it is used for the hyper-realistic nature of a lot of what people prefer often these days. So so this is far more natural, but it is a bit on the distance because that piano wouldn't have been the closest thing to the horn. So yes, very vibrant, very live. You immediately connect with the artist and their playing style, the way they intonate and so on. You immediately connect with that and forget all about the medium. So so despite this being a little bit watered down, because this is of course not the original disc, I would say this is a very worthwhile experience, this type of record. If you have other favorites but you can find something like this, go for it. You can probably even try digital, but I'm not sure how well it comes across, just because then you might have the digital format making its own imprint. See my other video for that, how different media styles can actually influence your system making and so on. So I can't really say how well that translates, but it definitely survived the translation to vinyl. So I've got a bit of hope for that you get something out of it. I think it's a nice experience. So if you're a music lover and you want to hear how music that is actually recorded in really good quality, 97 or 98 years ago, we're talking almost a century ago if we're now in 2023. So yes, I was really enjoying this music. It was a really nice experience, together with this other record, also very nicely recorded. It immediately puts you in touch. So if your system is not doing too much wrong, very different sounds, but very good experience. Yep. So if you like a new category sound, this is a bit on the level of the real sound of tubes, but this is the real sound of acoustic the acoustic process of recording. Give it a shot if you haven't heard it, and else I hope you got something out of it anyway. That was it for now. Thank you for listening again. If you like this kind of content, of course subscribe, but that's up to you, and I hope to catch you in the next video. But until then, have a brilliant day and take care. Bye bye.